Hello, IP friends. Welcome to another episode of IP series with Rita. Yup. My name is Rita Anrichinda, and I am an intellectual property lawyer, an arbitrator, and a lecturer based in Rivers State, Nigeria. Now, if this is your first time listening to my podcast, you are welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. I talk about everything intellectual property. I review cases. I talk about recent updates and development, not just in Nigeria, but I just give you like an African Nigerian bias to my story when I'm reviewing. So I talk about copyright, trademark, patent, industrial design, trade secret, plant variety, and geographical indication. Now, for my returning listeners, you guys already know how we do it. Yep. Welcome, guys. Thank you for always coming back to listen to me, and stay tuned for today's episode. So for today's episode, I have two guests who will be discussing something really interesting that I think IP owners in Nigeria and other parts of Africa will find really insightful. So I have two men. One is a South African and one is proudly Niger. So I have Anthony and Kimi. So I'm gonna let them both introduce themselves and tell us what they do, and then we'll just get into our conversation for today. But majorly, our conversation focuses on intellectual property filing in Africa, IP filing system in Africa. So stay tuned, guys. Great. So, Anthony or Kimi, any of you can, start. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do, where you're based, and then we'll just kick off with the whole conversation.
I'm Anthony. We're basically in Johannesburg in South Africa. We're patent attorneys. We work with Global IP Co, a firm in Dubai that develops software that's really intellectual property software for patents, trademarks, and designs. We basically focus on trying to reduce the cost and make patent filings a lot easier and a lot cheaper.
My name is Kimi. I am an IP practitioner based in Abuja, Nigeria. I work closely also with Global IP. The same aim, the same objective, make it easier, make it simpler, patent filings, make it easier and simpler for, a lot of people to be able to have access to it, easy access, and then reduced cost. And also aside patent practice, our law firm, I'm also a trademark practitioner in Nigeria. Also, provide trademark services to various individuals and firms in Nigeria.
Fantastic. So let's talk about. So I think I'll start with Anthony first. IP filing in Africa from the South African perspective. What is your general view with regards to IP filing in Africa?
For about 10 years, IP filings or patent filings in South Africa in particular, which kind of is a barometer of Africa, has been reducing over the last 10 years. However, from 2020 to 2020, the end of 2022, of that 2-year period, the number of patents that were filed have gone up by 73%. So it's been a huge increase. I think Kimi can discuss really with what the effect has been in Nigeria, because in Nigeria I think it's been quite similar over the last about 6-month period, where there's been a definite, especially in China, greater interest in African filings, and especially with the price having gone down. The Chinese that previously, in South Africa, used to be about less than 1% of the patents were filed by Chinese. Now it's about 40% of the patents are filed by Chinese. So it's made a huge difference for China to be attracted to the African market.
Okay, then Kimi, let's hear the Nigerian version of IP filing, basically.
IP filings in Nigeria, as I would say is on the ascendancy. The last 6 months, from my own perspective, there has been increased, filings as regards patent applications, mostly, like he said, from the Chinese market, and also, the procedures over time. The patent office, the trademark office, they are coming up with various ideas to, make it seamless and easier for people to be able to file and protect, their IP rights in Nigeria. For example, there was an upgrade of the IP filing system in 2020, from the old filing platform to the new filing platform. There was a while back, years ago, we migrated, from the manual filing system to the online filing system. All these developments and changes over time makes the Nigerian IP market, more uh, gains more interest, from the international, filers, and we can see the dividends is paying off. We have a lot of filings from China. I can tell you a lot of patent filings, we have received over time from China, and also kudos to the patent and trademarks office in Nigeria. They are very, very diligent examiners and officers. They attend to matters quickly, and these are the things, that attracts uh, the foreign markets and filers, into Nigeria. And on the perspective of Nigerians regarding IP, I believe we still have a whole lot of things to do, because most people in Nigeria, they are, oblivious of their IP rights and the fact that they can, protect these rights and get dividends from them. Yes, that is my own perspective from Nigeria. Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's discuss the SANi IP filing system, if I would call it that, because I know when I did a bit of research, I saw that it wasn't a treaty. So what exactly is the SANi IP filing?
So what the SANi,
Anthony, would you like to go first?
Yes, you should
everyone,
go first.
people generally are aware of the ARIPO. So for, I mean, if you speak to Americans, if you speak to Europeans, and you mention individual African countries, a lot of those firms are not that interested in individual countries. They want an Africa solution. And up to now, there's been the ARIPO patent, there's been the OAPI patents, which are regional systems. But neither of those regional patent systems covered the two largest economies in sub-Saharan Africa. And they've always tried to attract those two countries, but they've never been able to. So it's always been a natural fit for South Africa and Nigeria. Very similar GDP, very similar economy sizes. Nigeria, much larger population, even more attractive than South Africa. It's they're very much in line. They are the two best countries in Africa to combine. They both have a very good IP system, but both are online, very quick to get a granted patent, really efficient, very inexpensive to get the granted. So it was always a very natural, perfect fit to combine South Africa and Nigeria. The difference between OAPI and ARIPO and the SANi patents is that whereas with the ARIPO and OAPI, you file one patent application, and that goes through to grant, and then it gets extended to the various countries with the ARIPO. For a SANi, what you do is you basically just give the instruction and ends up filing two different patents, one Nigerian patent, one South African patent. But we're combining them in order to make the SANi patents.
To add to what Anthony has said, it is important that we point out that SANi patent is not a creation of treaty. Unlike, the ARIPO and OIP, where there were conventions and agreements, SANi patent is not backed by treaty. It's just coming together of minds to, provide a solution, an attractive solution for Africa. Because another bit of the regional patents that, scares the international market away is the costs of filing in those regions. So what we have done, we Crown and Shield Legal, Sibanda and Zantwijk and Global IPCO, we have come together to create a product which will be more competitive for Africa, will be more attractive to international filers to file the applications in Nigeria and South Africa by one, filing and one instruction to two various firms at the same time. As such, the cost is reduced, and it is even simpler and faster to obtain your grants. For South Africa, at most in a period of, due to recent legislations, in a period of 12 months at most, you get your grant. For Nigeria, in a period of 3 months at most, you get your grant in, smoother applications of patents. So, like Anthony said, it reduces costs. There's no accelerated, there's no substantive examination, which prolongs grant of patents. No, that is not derivable in South Africa and Nigeria as such. We have come together to create a product to make it easier for the international market to have access to Africa via South Africa and Nigeria.
So let's discuss what is the difference between the SANi OAPI registration and the ARIPO registration. I know that ARIPO and OAPI are treaties, but what other than that, what other difference do they have, or what similarities do they have for Nigerian or for South Africans who want to explore this system?
For
OAPI is
okay.
more francophone countries, French-speaking countries, northern kind of Africa countries. 17 countries. ARIPO is kind of more the old English-speaking countries generally. Also, you basically have, these days most people are filing 18, but you can go up to 20 countries into ARIPO. The OAPI is not examining, so you can do it for a fixed price. ARIPO is examining, so you don't know really how much you're going to pay at the end of the day because you've got to argue with the examiner. SANi is also not examining, and SANi is the quickest. OAPI is the second quickest, and ARIPO is by far the longest to get a registration certificate. And same with costs. SANi is by far the cheapest, OAPI is halfway, and ARIPO is, depending on how many countries you're selecting, is generally the most expensive one.
The time duration, mostly important to clients. They want to get their certificate of grants as quickly as they file, and also there's a provision of we being able to pay for the entire tenure of renewals via the SANi patent in South Africa. Pay renewals to town at very, very reduced cost. So once you are filing, you pay the renewals. You have filed it. Whenever you need it, it is covered in that jurisdiction.
That's actually a really important point because it's the ability to pay all of the renewals for the entire 20-year patent term in one go that reduces the lifetime cost of the patent by basically 80 to 90%. So it makes a huge difference. Now, in ARIPO and OAPI, you generally wouldn't be doing that. But for SANi, you would be doing that because the official fees are so low. It's also very, I should also point out that there's absolutely no overlap between a SANi patent and a ARIPO patent and an OAPI patent. If you file all three of those patents, you're basically covering most of Africa, and without duplicating any countries.
If I want to become an agent under SANi, is there a possibility for that, or is restricted to certain persons?
So
an agent under SANi.
Yeah, can I be an agent?
It depends what you mean by an agent. So if one is marketing it and getting the instructions, a lot of people can receive and market and get the instructions because there's an online system for filing the SANi patents. However, in order to actually be able to file with the patent office in South Africa, you generally need to be an engineer and then do a law degree. And then you need to do your patent exams and articles to be a fully qualified attorney. And only then would you be registered to be allowed to file the South African component. Kimi, for the Nigerian component?
For the Nigerian components, you apply via the IPO website online, submit all your documents. For we lawyers, you submit your core certificate and all qualifying, documents, and then after your application is examined and it is satisfactory,
But
you
to
gain
become
granted
an
access to the
agent, a
online filing
patent
system.
agent in Nigeria,
So
Kimi?
it's basically the same thing, basically the same process, basically.
But I'm not aware that we do write any exams anyway to be a patent agent, or like South
Yes, no,
Africa.
no, 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 South Africa. You just apply, and if apply via the online system, and
Just
if
apply.
you
So anyone can basically be an agent in Nigeria, whereas in South Africa, and I
that is
think the best way to go about it is, the examination helps you eliminate all the, I won't like to use the word
exactly
fraud, but then you find a lot of those who want to pose as agent and then end up misleading clients who end up losing funds and keeps
of
going round
course.
and round. But then
Mhm.
let's discuss hold on. Let's discuss cost for registration. So sometimes you get those questions from either startups or individuals, how expensive it is to do an IP registration. And then you're like, it's not about the money. The goal is to get protected so you're not um, fall in the hands of someone that decides to take advantage of your lapses. But then what are the cost implications under SANi? Is it more? I know Anthony had mentioned that it's a lot cheaper, but then looking at the types of IP that we have in order of priority, which of the IPs would you say is cheaper to register under SANi, and which one will be
So
more
the SANi is
beneficial
by
to register
far the
under the other
cheapest.
treaties?
So especially if one uses, say, the online global IP ecosystem, because
Mhm.
that automates everything, and one basically gets a Nigerian patent and a South African patent for very similar pricing. You're looking at $600-700 US to get each of those, and that is fixed. That is from basically filing through to courier of the certificate. Um,
Mhm.
Compare that to, say, a repo. A repo would be a lot more. A repo, I always think in rands, but a repo, you're basically looking at easily, I would say about 7 times more than that. OAPI is about 3 times more than that for an OAPI patent. So the Nigerian one and the
Yeah,
the SANi patent is by far the cheapest. And then if it's a law firm that's filing, then the law firms actually get discounted pricing. So even though on the Global IP Co website there is pricing, law firms that register get a significant discount on that filing to be, because the whole aim of it's a B2B solution. The whole aim of
that's
Global
true.
IP Co is not to be a business to customer solution. It's for the law firms to all network together to kind of leverage off that.
Yes, to buttress on that, the costs of filing under ARIPO or IP you cannot compare to filing via filing the SANi patent via Global IP Co. And also the stress involved, you cannot compare. Let me use the word stress. And then formalities involved, you cannot compare. One is so easy to use, and also the cost is pretty reasonable. The other day we were talking about the clients wants, to register an application under our repo, and we're talking about nothing less than above 3,000, 3,000 USD. So compare that with
Hmm.
what is being offered on SANi, the SANi product via Global IP. You know, you can't compare both prices, and also you can't compare the speed at which you're going to get
And the
your
renewal
grants,
fees. The renewal
and
fees are
also the
so much
ease
cheaper for
of getting your
SANi.
grants.
So much
Because
cheaper.
yeah.
If you're paying a renewal fee for an ARIPO
And
patent
also the
18
renewal
states, you're
fees.
easily
When you talk about
paying, say,
yeah,
4,000 US dollars for a year in the later years. And that's only for 1 year renewal. Whereas for a SANi patent covering both Nigeria and South Africa, you'll be able to do all of the years for all 20 years at a very, very low price in
And
comparison.
South Africa.
So basically less than $1,000.
I got that. And I hope I'm answering it correctly. I said I hope it's always better to give your IP rights to a law firm to protect those rights for you. So yes, it's always better to deal with a law firm. Yeah.
So, in terms of timeline for registration, I know you guys talked a bit about it as to which one is quicker, but then looking at the benefits that SANi proposes, in relation to timeline, would you still why do you think there's no much awareness as to people using the SANi IP system to register their work? Is there something that we need to do or educate people why this platform is better than ARIPO or OAPI? For timelines, costs, and other benefits that SANi has in stock.
SANi patent is very much in its nascency. It's still at birth. We're still growing it. The idea was, we got the idea last year, and I can tell you it is gaining traction. It is gaining traction. And, we're going to be flying very high very soon. So we are in that process whereby our target, like we said, is not the law firms. It is the markets. That market that is eluding
when it comes
Africa
to a
because
lot of
the
people out
products
there,
available are not so
their
attractive.
historical
So that is it
thoughts
for
about
us.
African patents is that they are slow, they're tedious, you have to stamp and send copies of everything, and it's expensive. That's what they always thought. Whereas anyone who's trying the SANi patents, especially with Nigeria, because Nigeria has surprised me. Now, Nigeria, I was not expecting Nigeria to be as fast, as efficient, as reasonable. And really, there hasn't been. Now, we previously dealt quite a bit with Nigeria, but because we're having streamlined everything through the online system, and with Kimi really being our partner in Nigeria, it's the uptake of firms who would previously, I'm talking about US, European, and Chinese firms, who would previously never have considered an African patent. The amount of kind of adoption of it is really large because everyone is so surprised. It is exceptional worldwide. No other country in the world is offering anything like SANi. That anyone who actually uses it is surprised as to the cost, the speed, the efficiency, and the fact that everything's basically just online.
Basically online. To add to that, you could just, it also reduces further costs. Persons who would want to just file their applications directly themselves. For example, I'm in the USA.
Wow.
I have a company to register an IP rights in Nigeria. I would have to look for an IP practitioner in the USA who then looks for an IP partner in Nigeria. If such a person has an idea or knows about the global IP ecosystem, all he needs to do is register on the system and submit the application.
So you're taking out all the middlemen so that the clients have access to SANi themselves without actually reaching out to the law firm. It seems like a
We are
fantastic
just
idea. I think the
trying to.
pandemic has taught us a lot of things as well, that you can basically do anything virtually from anywhere. But going forward now, do you guys have like a statistics or record or directory as to the number of IP registrations that have been done, be it a patent or a trademark or any other forms of IP,
As far as
and compared it
take
to say an ARIPO registration or an OAPI registration that is already out there?
So South Africa has increased significantly.
Anthony, would you like to take the question?
At about
Yeah.
at about
He's taking it already.
11,000 patents every year.
Okay.
Kimi, Nigeria, how many patents every year is Nigeria historically?
the statistics in Nigeria is not so
but the thing is that it has
not
this
so
combining
consistent, really.
Nigeria and South
They
Africa
are still
has
working
been
on having
helping
those
South
people.
Africa
It's have to give us an
considerably.
estimate.
Really, basically
Yeah.
increasing
Office is
the
still working on
filings.
those.
As I say, 73% of the last 2 years. It's made our firm by far the largest filer of South African patents. And what the SANi patents also done in Nigeria over the last just 3-4 months has significantly increased the number of Nigerian filings. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kimi is one of the top filers now.
As at this month, I can confirm I am the highest filer of patents
Go, Kimi,
in
go, Kimi.
Nigeria. Over 48 applications filed. Yes, we are. I see that is the statistics building for us. When we started, we first had I think two applications in October. That was before we started gaining traction.
Okay.
November, there was an increase from SANi for us. December, there was an increase. January, an increase. February, an increase. March, right now in March, double the figures of what we had in January and February combined. So you see the transaction, it keeps gaining traction, and it keeps getting better, better. Yeah.
I need to come on board, under the SANi, because if Kimi has progressed, every month, I can imagine what 12 months to do for Kimi and his team. But let's discuss IP trends, either in South Africa or in Nigeria. So I mean, it's in the news already that Nigeria already has a new copyright act. But other than that, what other IP trends do you see within your jurisdiction, either from the industry or within practice, within the colleagues and the network? What are those trends that you've seen so far in Africa that gives you hope that SANi will definitely thrive and we'll have more African inventors or creatives explore the SANi platform?
For me, IP trends for Nigeria that I see, for the future in Nigeria is increased registrations, increased awareness. There's the tech space, the global digitalization space, which which was touched in the new Copyright Act. I'm still reviewing it. There will be increased, IP registration due to awareness. People will know, yes, this is my right. I want to protect it in Africa, in Nigeria. And also, there would be digitalization. There would be better collaboration, meeting together of corporations, individuals who have ideas, and of course, these ideas, in that regard. And then there will be IP trends, anti-counterfeiting too, and counterfeit. I see that there would be, improved legislations in those aspects, especially in Nigeria. I do a bit of anti-counterfeiting
What we are
investigation, and of
seeing
course,
IP
yes,
trend in
with time,
Africa is basically
these
the
things would also,
dominance of
pick up.
China. The
There will
fact
be
that
improved
China has gone from being less
improvement
than
on that. Yes,
1% player in the
that
IP
is
market
from my
to over 40% player in the IP market, and that's only in the last few years. That's been a huge shift. The fact that Africa has become largely online, so a lot of the things can now be done wholly online. The patent office is online, and then the access for filings online, which and the effect of that is it's removed the dominance of those large firms. Now, 5 years ago, the large firms dominated the market, whereas what's happening today is that it's the smaller, more nimble firms who can operate at a lower cost, who are using the technology in the online systems to basically network all together. So what Kimi and us are doing is we're networking also with, say, some ARIPO attorneys and ARIPO, Tanga attorneys and OAPI. And so everyone's collaborating very closely. And it's generally the smaller firms that are low cost, very efficient, using the technology to basically just drive the volume.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting times, I would say. And then gives us hope that, you know, the market is going to be accessible to everyone, especially in light of, the AFCTA agreement coming in. But then let's get personal. Amongst all the IP, let's rank them in your order of priority. Which one do you say appeals to you more and appeals to you less?
For
For
me,
us,
it was
look, I think
trademarks
trademarks are a
until
huge
I
opportunity
had a
in
different
Africa.
view of
You just need to find a
patents
way
last
to
year.
reduce the cost of
So
trademarks
for
and the
now,
complexity of
I
trademarks in
would go
Africa.
with patents.
We
Yeah,
fortunately we've already
patents.
done that really for patents, and if we can do the same for trademarks, it's but both of them could be extremely exciting. Designs, although I get excited about designs, applicants generally don't get that excited about the design.
Mostly trademarks and patents. Yes, yes.
Well, I wouldn't say I have a favorite right now. I think I'm a bit partial to all of them. But I would say I think I would say trademark first, then maybe copyright second. Patent is, I find it a bit technical and
Pretty
complex. You have to
technical.
think really hard, to get the nitty gritty, else you're going to lose it. But I think again the other IPs which are still coming up, the PV, and GI as well. So, but yeah, that's for me anyway. So, in wrapping up, what are your final thoughts on IP in Africa, from filings to the laws to the stakeholders to practitioners? What are your final thoughts?
My thoughts using Nigeria, my jurisdiction, as a case study, and also the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, the Trademarks and Patents, department. I can say that there has been progress, and there will be progress, and there always will be progress. Their efficiency, the way they attend to matters, and the way they want to evolve and make the process easier. I dare say that yes, it's going to keep getting better and better, and more, improvements will be made over time. They are doing a very good job presently, and I can assure you that over time it will even get better because they come up with, ideas. They meet regularly to ensure that matters or issues are dealt with.
From
So,
my side,
and
I'm
applicants
extremely
receive the
excited
best
about
from the
Africa. I mean,
ministry. So yes,
Africa, the
they're doing a great
continent
job.
with the
My thoughts, they are
second
brilliant.
highest
Will get better
population.
and continue to get better.
Africa, the
It's
continent
what
with the
they keep
highest
showing out to us.
population growth.
And give it to us.
Yet that same continent that should be the
Fantastic.
most attractive to anyone in Europe and the US and anywhere around the world when it comes to protecting things is only attracting less than 2% in the highest patented country of your international patents. So it is a continent that should be on the map a lot more when it comes to everyone protecting their IP. Increasingly over the next 20 years, it's going to be a lot more on the map with its comparative growth rate of population, and there is such room for growth from less than 2% to a default selection because it is really so easy. Now, the European Patent Office has been helping a lot with trying to automate African patent offices. And the more that African patent offices all around Africa can automate, we're going to make IP so much more accessible and so much lower in cost than it is even today. Today, it's still expensive unless you find online.
Thank you so much for your insight and sticking with us throughout this last 30 minutes. But then, how do we reach you? So, if we have listeners who want to reach out to you, either because they want to explore the SANi platform or any other IP filing system out there, how do we reach out to you on social media, or just tell us.
For me, the website and my email website is www.crownandshiplegal.com. And then on LinkedIn, I am Kimi Onana on LinkedIn. Then my email also. Can I provide that? K dot capital K dot capital O NANA at crownandfieldlegal.com. And then my phone number, Nigerian, yes,
Well,
zero
for us, I
zero
think the easiest would
three
be just the
seven
global IP
two
website
zero
because
eight
anything that needs through to
three
us from
six.
there.
Of course, you can. I'm very prompt.
So
Wherever you send me a
globalipcode.com,
mail or message, be sure
and
you
then
get a
from
response
there
from me
one
within
can
minutes.
contact
Yeah.
S&Z, which is a firm that we're at in South Africa.
All right.
Crown and Shields with Kimi, and over the next while we're going to have other partners on there also. That's going to increase the kind of scope of filings.
Looking forward to be a partner too. But yeah, thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Kimi, so much. It's been very insightful. I really do appreciate you taking out your time to do this with me. But
Well,
yeah,
thank you for having us.
thank you guys so much, and looking forward to more collaborations and doing more
Thank
IP
you.
stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
All right then. All right. Episode 95 is done and dusted. Thank you, happy friends, for listening to this episode. Thank you once again to our guests, Anthony and Kimi, for sharing your insight on the best possible mode for trademarking or patenting your intellectual property under the SANi IP system. Now, I was having a conversation with Flok. Flok, thank you for this. I mean, when we had that conversation, I was like, ooh, I think I should consider this. So, for my 100th episode, I would be looking out for a co-host. Now, we're going to have conversations on strictly intellectual property. You get to pick the topic, but then in order for you to be considered as my co-host, you need to tell me why you're going to be the best co-host ever. So send me an email to ipseriesInfo@gmail.com. Title should be why I should be your co-host, or just title it co-host. So looking forward to reading your applications and see you in episode 96, guys. Bye.